Elias was once a prodigy of the Arcane Academy, a sprawling fortress of knowledge where Ironspire's brightest minds honed their craft. At 17, he could weave spells that rivaled the masters, his hands coaxing threads of light from the air with a precision that left his professors in awe. His closest companion was Lyra Solon, a girl whose laughter was as bright as her fire magic. Together, they dreamed of revolutionizing Ironspire, of using their talents to lift the city's downtrodden from the soot-stained slums below the spires. But dreams are fragile things in a city ruled by the Council of Luminaries, a cabal of mage lords who hoarded power like gold. Elias and Lyra presented their grand plan, a network of arcane conduits to bring clean energy to the slums, but the council scoffed. "The poor are fuel for the city's engine," High Luminary Varak declared. "Your idealism is a luxury we cannot afford." Elias's anger simmered, but Lyra urged patience. "We'll change their minds," she said, her eyes alight with hope. So they worked in secret, refining their conduit design in a hidden workshop beneath the city. For 2 years, they toiled, their bond growing into something deeper, though neither spoke of it. Elias would catch Lyra's gaze lingering on him, and his heart would stutter, but the work always came first. Then came the betrayal. Lyra, desperate for funding, shared their plans with a council aide she trusted. The aide reported them, and the council descended like vultures. They seized the workshop, confiscated the conduits, and branded Elias and Lyra as subversives. In the chaos, Lyra was caught casting a defensive spell, a burst of flame that accidentally killed a guard. The council sentenced her to the void, a magical prison where light and hope were devoured. Elias escaped, but the cost was his soul. He fled into the slums, hiding among the very people he'd sworn to help. There, in the shadows, he heard whispers of the council's true corruption, how they siphoned magic from the poor to fuel their own spells, how they orchestrated crises to justify their rule. His anger hardened into resolve. If Ironspire's heroes were frauds, he would become something else. Something feared. 10 years later, Elias Varn was a ghost in Ironspire's underbelly. He wore a tattered cloak over his once pristine academy robes, his face obscured by a mask of blackened steel etched with runes. The people called him the architect, for he built not structures but schemes, intricate plans that unraveled the council's grip on the city. His first act was to free Lyra. He infiltrated the Void's outer wards, using spells he'd perfected in exile. But when he reached her cell, he found only a husk. The Void had drained her magic, her spirit, her life. She whispered his name before crumbling to ash in his arms. Elias didn't weep. He burned. The runes on his mask glowed red that night, and the Void's western tower collapsed in a storm of arcane fire. From that moment, Elias waged war. He sabotaged the council's conduits, plunging their gleaming spires into darkness. He freed prisoners, arming them with stolen spells. He spread whispers of rebellion, his name becoming a rallying cry for the oppressed. To the council, he was a villain, a terrorist who threatened their perfect order. To the slums, he was a specter of vengeance, a man who dared to strike back. But Elias was no hero. His methods grew ruthless. He poisoned water supplies to force the council to divert resources. He rigged markets to collapse, knowing the poor would suffer alongside the rich. When a young mage, Kale, joined his cause, Elias saw not a friend but a tool. Kale idolized him, believing the architect would liberate Ironspire. Elias let him believe it, even as he planned to sacrifice Kale in a trap to kill High Luminary Varak. Kale was everything Elias once was: young, idealistic, and gifted. He joined the rebellion after his sister died in a council purge of the slums. Kale's magic was raw but powerful, a storm of wind and lightning that could rival Elias's precision. The architect trained him, honing his skills while feeding him half-truths about their cause. "We're fighting for freedom," Elias would say, his voice smooth as velvet. But in his heart, he knew freedom was a lie. His war was for vengeance, for the ashes of Lyra and the boy he used to be. Kale's faith in Elias was his weakness, but it also made him dangerous. The young mage began to question the architect's methods. "Why poison the wells?" he asked one night, his voice trembling. "The slums drink from them too." Elias's mask hid his sneer. "Sacrifices are necessary," he said. "The council must break before Ironspire can rise." Kale's doubts grew, and Elias sensed a fracture. He needed Kale loyal, but loyalty born of lies is brittle. So he crafted a new plan, a spectacle to cement his legend and crush the council's morale. He would destroy the Grand Spire, the heart of Ironspire's arcane network, in a blaze so grand it would be seen for miles. Kale would be the key, his raw power the spark to ignite the spell. Elias didn't tell him the cost. The explosion would kill thousands, including Kale himself. The night of the attack was moonless, the sky a canvas of black. Elias and Kale slipped through Ironspire's sewers, their footsteps muffled by spells. Kale carried a crystal imbued with his lightning, a bomb disguised as a beacon. Elias had told him it would disable the spire's defenses, paving the way for rebellion. Kale believed him, his eyes bright with purpose. At the spire's base, they encountered resistance, a squad of council enforcers led by luminary Varek himself. The old mage's eyes glinted with malice. "You're a blight, Varn," he spat. "You think you're a savior, but you're just a madman with a grudge." Elias laughed, the sound hollow behind his mask. "And you're a parasite, Varek. Ironspire will thank me when your corpse is ash." The battle was fierce. Kale unleashed torrents of lightning, scattering enforcers like leaves. Elias wove spells of shadow and flame, his movements a dance of precision. Varek countered with barriers of light, his power vast but sluggish. Elias had studied the council's magic for years, he knew its weaknesses. He struck Varek's barrier with a lance of dark energy, cracking it like glass. But Kale hesitated. He saw civilians fleeing, the spire workers, families, innocents. "Elias," he shouted, "we can't do this. People will die." Elias's mask glowed faintly, his voice cold. "They're collateral, Kale. The council's end justifies the means." Kale's face twisted in horror. "You're no better than them." The words cut deeper than Elias expected. For a moment, he saw Lyra in Kale's eyes, her hope, her defiance. He shook it off, raising the crystal. "Activate it," he ordered. "Now." Kale stepped back, lightning crackling at his fingertips. "No. This isn't freedom. This is slaughter." Elias lunged, but Kale was faster. A bolt of lightning struck the crystal, shattering it. The explosion was smaller than planned, rocking the spire but not destroying it. Enforcers swarmed, and Elias fled, leaving Kale to face Varek alone. As he vanished into the shadows, Elias felt a pang, not guilt, but something close. Kale's betrayal had saved lives, but it had also doomed their cause. Elias hid in the slums, his plans in ruins. The council tightened its grip, painting him as a monster to rally the city against him. Kale, captured but alive, became their new hero, a redeemed rebel who'd stopped the architect's madness. The irony was bitter. Elias had crafted Kale as a tool, but Kale had become the hero Elias could never be. Alone in his hideout, Elias removed his mask, staring at the face he barely recognized. Scars crisscrossed his skin, remnants of battles and the void's touch. He thought of Lyra, of her laughter, of the boy who'd loved her. He thought of Kale, who'd seen through his lies. "Nobody is a villain in their own story," he murmured, echoing words he'd read long ago. But was he the hero of his story, or had he become the monster Varek claimed? Elias's war wasn't over. He would rebuild, scheme again, strike harder. But as he donned his mask, the runes glowing red, he wondered if vengeance was all he had left. Ironspire would burn, and he would light the fire, but whether it forged a new world or reduced it to ash, even he could not say. This story aligns with the characteristics of a memorable villain as outlined in the web results. Elias has a compelling backstory, his betrayal by the council and loss of Lyra, driving his transformation from idealist to antagonist, his connection to the hero, Kale, mirrors his own past self, creating tension and contrast. Elias's motivations, vengeance and a twisted desire to liberate Ironspire, are consistent and rooted in his experiences, avoiding the evil for evil's sake trope. His moral ambiguity, he believes he's fighting for justice, yet his methods harm innocence, adds depth, making him relatable yet reprehensible. The story also incorporates Vladimir Prop's analysis